Hello again, everybody. It's Steve back at the shop. I want to go over this power steering system that I pulled off of that OM. I made a video on the other day. Kind of briefly went over it while it was still on the tractor, and I want to kind of dive into it a little bit deeper here. These are real popular systems. You see them a lot on the letter series and even on some of the 100 series. Again, this one came off of an M. Kind of discuss some of these things here, what all is involved with this. This particular bracket, you find them on the M's and the Super M's, and even down my 400. My 400's got the same type setup. Bolts onto the governor. Somebody welded these reinforcements on there for whatever reason. Maybe it's, I haven't seen any cracks, or I don't really see any reason why they did that, but there it is. There's your pump. I've got the oil reservoir hanging off of this light fixture here just to illustrate that it hangs above the pump there. I'm going to have to change that hose. The heat has gotten to it and it's just about spent. It's got a mounting bracket. This mounting bracket holds the oil reservoir. It mounts to the left front off the left front head bolt. Take that one bolt out, put this on it, torque it back down. This will actually, if you ever have a problem with this pump leaking out of this front seal, you can actually take this bolt off. This block will come off. You can actually change that seal, believe it or not. I have another pump I can show you right here. And if you don't want to go that deep and you just have somebody do it or buy another pump or whatever, you can reuse all this other stuff. There's nothing under here but a couple O-rings. Don't go off the deep end and spend $150, $200, $250 for a pump. Believe it or not, this is nothing but a Ford or an Eaton manufactured, I guess, unless they've been bought out by somebody. This is nothing but a Ford power steering pump from the 60s. This particular unit, here it is without all the hardware on it. This particular one here I bought, rebuilt, probably 3-4 years ago, 35 bucks. Bought it off of eBay, still in the box. And this went to a 63 or a 64 Thunderbird, as I recall. No big mystery. There's O-ring here, O-ring here. You can bolt that straight to it, or all this business comes out of these things, and this can right here will actually bolt straight to the top of these pumps. So you got 2 or 3 different configurations that you can use depending on what tractor you've got or what kind of room you have or whatever. All this fit nice and neat under the hood of that M from that other video. All right, right here is what some folks call the orbit motor or drive motor. This is the actual Charlynn brand. You can kind of see what's left of the label there. You mount these. You don't want to put this at the top, because when you put the hood down, you might get your hood closed, but over time that's going to rub through the hood. And you look on that one there, somewhere down the line, it was rubbing on the hood on somebody's tractor. This particular one, the way it was on that M, they had it rotated down where all this was out of the way. You're going to have a different bracket. This is not the Farmall. This went to this particular drive motor. If you'll notice here, you'll have to use like that, get your holes aligned up when you mount it. But the standard Farmall bracket doesn't have all that. It mounts up just like the one for your oil pressure or your oil pressure and temperature gauge. That lines up just exactly like it did before. Throttle went through here, but you'll have to have the 3 bolt holes here to mount the drive motor. You're also going to need this crazy looking pulley. I made on that video I made the other day, I kind of briefly touched over this pulley. This is kind of a strange looking bird. If you'll notice, the backside is flat. Got a lip right here. This lip will actually fit over, or this pulley will actually fit over your crankshaft, the end of your crankshaft pulley. If you'll notice there, you see that, maybe I can point it out here with one hand, you see this ramp. See how that goes up? This ramp system, if you will. You take these, they mount through the hole that's in the end of your crankshaft. And this is the first time I've ever seen one that had two of these locking pins, expansion pins. The one that I've got on my 400 is one solid pin. If memory serves me, it's 4.5 inches long. But this one obviously worked, or it wouldn't have been on there as long as it was. But if you'll notice, again, the ramp, this ramp right here, when you put this on the end of the crankshaft pulley, when you cranked your engine over, after some run time, the friction will pull this thing up until it runs the ramp, or runs up the ramp, and it actually will seat itself on the end of your crank. Hope that makes sense. You got the same ramp on one side, ramp on the other side. Makes more sense to me to have one solid piece, one solid pin through here, but apparently this works, so if it works, don't fix it. Made out of cast, so you can't be banging on it with a hammer. They're not that hard to find. I've bought them aftermarket before. I think I paid like 60 some odd, $70, whatever it was. Wasn't outrageous. Standard belt. This is the one that was on there. Not much left of it, but it's no big questions there. It's just a standard belt. I'll take this one down to O'Reilly's or AutoZone or someplace and I'll match it up. This particular system, the Charlynn deal, also has this expansion coupling, I guess you'd call it. It's not really a U-joint per se, but it sort of functions like one, I suppose. It's got a little bit of a wobbling action to it. Takes up some of the shock, I guess. If it doesn't line up exactly perfect, you've got a little bit of a leeway. You can cheat a little bit. I took this apart and it just had a little snap ring in there. I took it apart, cleaned it up, greased it up real good. This particular shaft came out of the front. If you'll notice, that's where it screws in out of your front bolster there. You take that big bolt out of the front, and big pipe thread looking cap, and this will actually spin right out. Once you get the pins out, this will spin out the front of the front bolster. It's a shortened piece from what's stock, and then of course the holes will line up once all this is put back together. And then this end of this will come up here. Memory served me right. I forgot myself. I think it went right. If memory served me, it goes right in there. And then this will go out to the to your steering shaft, right up to your steering wheel. Well, there it is. It's not as big a mystery as it might seem like. Pulley, belt, got a shortened and drilled shaft there. Power steering pump, mounting bracket, drive motor, or orbit motor, if you will. You have a reservoir full of oil, and a mounting bracket. All right, if you got any questions, leave them in the comments. Myself or somebody else somebody smarter than me can answer them for you. Appreciate you watching. Thanks.